We're here. Summer's here.
Yeah, I know. It's a very nice day. So, Joe Rogan goes on Spotify.
Joe Rogan goes on Spotify.
But even the video.
We should talk
So he's
about
off
this.
YouTube.
This is the biggest fucking...
The rebellion has started.
Right as we fucking hitch our saddle to
resistance.
YouTube too.
Resistance?
We're like, we're gonna do a little more YouTube stuff.
Yeah,
Rogan's
right
like,
at the second.
Get the fuck out of here.
So he's pulling a what's his name when he went to Sirius FM or whatever. Sirius
Was that
Radio,
Howard? This
Howard Stern.
is
a Howard Stern moment for YouTube.
Stern moment for podcasts. I think, in my opinion, this
For
is the
YouTube.
biggest platform move for podcasting ever.
I will say it's a Western movement for YouTube, except the other way. This to me, I think one of the reasons Joe Rogan, the money is not bad, my guess is.
They haven't said, I can literally not imagine.
Yes, but it's a Howard Stern moment, I think. But I think it's also because of all the shit that YouTube has been doing for the last, like same thing like Twitter problems, social media issues.
I've been seeing a lot of stuff from
Deplatforming.
podcast creators that do, I'm not gonna say what Rogan does, but are like fringe stuff, whether it's comedy that pushes the limits or talking about subjects that are outside of the norm, which Rogan does a lot of both of those things, right? I think he keeps things at least in line with what's reasonable to listen to, but the same subjects that Google's and their algorithm are trying to wipe from the internet are pretty prevalent in Rogan's podcast. And I think at some point, I'm guessing, because I've heard of podcast creators being approached by YouTube, being kind of threatened to have to remove a certain amount. And I'm guessing that at some point, they either had to turn a blind eye to the double standard they were giving with Rogan, or they had to start putting pressure on him, at which case I think something...
You know that he got demonetized for a bunch of videos?
I believe
because he said it. Yeah, he got demonetized. The second he says transsexual, he gets demonetized. He does it anyway, but he knows. The dude from London Real, 1.8 million subscribers, his last video says literally goodbye because he thinks he's going to get deplatformed. Yeah. Because of the David Icke thing. Yeah. On the 5G and coronavirus, which he said he disagreed with, but he still has it on.
Well, the thing is, the way Google works, by the way, I don't know if you know this, the way YouTube works, they have this wonderful feature, which we've made fun of before, that does automatic subtitles. It'll automatically, no matter what you choose, it'll automatically scan your audio and get subtitles. Yeah. Now, it doesn't put together very good sentences, especially when you have a French accent.
So I'm safe.
But
I can fake the algorithm.
But keywords still hit, and that's really all that matters. So if you say certain words, certain names, certain subjects...
But I can say it because the algorithm does not understand me. It's like Siri. I can't ask shit to Siri.
So then you automatically kind of get lumped...
Where is Paris? That's not what I said, bitch!
You get lumped right into the questionable monetization range, and if it's much further than that, as far as just quantity of the right recipe, you can even get completely red flagged and have an episode pulled. But that's the tool that Google uses without involving a human watching or reporting. So it's just this algorithm scraping for
There's
fucking
still
keywords.
Someone putting the words in the algorithm.
At some point, and that's the key with all of those problems.
There's still a review process.
Who's the decider?
And there's a review process.
Yeah, and that's very slow. Actually, sometimes big producers that I've heard, YouTube, that will say the review process most likely isn't even manual either.
Okay, the dude from London Real said he spent an hour on the phone with people from YouTube.
I think,
and he said, I'm going to get the platform.
Yeah, and I think that sits at the very end, and I don't think people with much less of that platform are going to get any of it.
But I
think... Rogan Spotify thing, here's the cool thing about this for us. I like the idea of Spotify.
We're going to get money too?
No.
Okay.
Certainly not. But I do think what it opens up for me is all of his audio is going to be on Spotify. No audio on iTunes, no nothing. And the video is going to be on Spotify.
That's
now,
big.
Spotify has a slight mechanism. They've tried it with some of their music stuff to send video, if you will, but it's always been really limited. So I think they're jumping on the video platform for podcasts, which could be a big valuable move, because if it can just be as easy to do it on both, totally, why wouldn't you do it on both? But if you think about what it means for Spotify, you have to have a fucking Spotify membership now to basically be able to listen to Rogan after September 1st.
Isn't it free, Spotify?
I think you have to have a membership though for Spotify.
I don't use Spotify, so I don't know.
But the truth is, for Rogan, if you do listen to Rogan, it's worth it, and then it has all of the same features as Apple Music, anyways. So what a crazy dagger, because Apple has held the podcast spaced down pretty much this entire time.
I'm interested in the YouTube aspect.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I want to see this shit with YouTube stop. Like the deplatforming, the demonetization. Like we can only say what the WHO says.
Yeah.
In order. By the way, do you know that the WHO has a 1 meter distance rule, not 1.5, not really? 2, it's 1. The WHO says 1 meter is enough.
Yeah.
So what the fuck are we following what they say, or are we not?
My favorite thing is they actually had gone through there's actually zero science that supports 1.5 meters or 1 meter or 2 meters as a safe distance in any way.
No, it's a guess anyway.
It's like 4 is probably not any safer than 2.
By the way, do you know that worldwide we had 350,000 deaths so far, which obviously is really bad. 2017, I think the flu hit 650,000 people, something like that. The average is between 300 and 700,000 or 800,000 a year, something like that. So it's actually a huge, if you look, it's a huge discrepancy. But usually it's between 300 and, 250 and I think 700 or 800, something like that. So it's a huge stuff. So the average is 4 something. Yeah. And right now we're still under the average of the flu per year.
Yeah. Just made up for it.
No, but like we've been saying that from the beginning, but this has to stop. Do you know that they're talking about extreme poverty this year hitting 60 million because of like the economy collapsing? I talked about the UN paper, 160 million people dying of starvation.
It seems so short-sighted too, but at some point, like this is going to sound like foolish, I guess, maybe, like keeping your head in the sand. But there is a part of this whole thing where I want to be like, walk outside. And you talk to your neighbors, and you see people going around. You see people at the park, and you know the people that you know in your life, and you've gone about your day, and I'm not wearing a fucking mask. And like, I don't know, like, if my life went about the way it was as of right now, I'd have no fucking idea that anything was going on, unless I took out my phone and people told me the sky was falling.
By the way, hospitals are empty.
Yeah.
I went to the main hospital in Amsterdam, a main hospital, Red Cross Hospital, which is 1 hour up north. Yeah. There is no one. Yeah. They have evacuated the hospitals in case COVID leads to many people. The problem is it hasn't. So hospitals have lost
tons
of money. There is no one in the hospital. The hospitals are empty. I went there, like emergency room, like the usual person who cut themselves or shit like that. But it's mostly empty. All the normal operation stuff like that. The video we posted about cancer patients that don't go, so they're going to go from stage 1 to stage 3 because they're waiting too long. Like, you
can't
go
get your knee scoped now.
Okay, so we're going to go into we're going to stop about this. But what I want is for us to go back. Let's go 6 months in the future. What I want is people to remember how they acted during the crisis. All the people that say, well, it's going to be like this for 2 years or whatever. Just remember how scared you are. Like when we start to see the consequences of our actions, you know, like what we're doing, like poverty, extreme poverty around the world, starvation for 100 million people, all that stuff for basically, so we are going to crash the global economy, drive people to suicide from losing their businesses. Ulcers are going to go up. Cancer patients, the guy was saying 50,000 in the UK most likely are going to die from cancer that they could have saved. All that stuff for basically a really nasty flu season. I want people 6 months to a year from now to be able to look in the mirror and realize how scared they got. And I want us to look at who was responsible for this shit and take action to what. You know what scares me the most is the bet I made with you that nothing changes, everything is forgotten a year from now. That's what scares me. Where people will keep acting scared to justify the despicable behavior that we're having right now as a society. Where we do not care the consequences of our actions on countries that are not as rich as the Western world.
That's a big one. That's the big one.
That's the big one.
And there's one other piece.
Or cancer patients. People that we don't see. The suffering on people that we don't see. Suicide, cancer, all that stuff. Like we are ignoring those people. I just want everyone to remember a year from now to look in the mirror and look at the cost of the despicable behavior that we are basically having right now. People snitching left and right on others and stuff like that for that bullshit narrative that the media is giving us. If you don't want to blame yourself for it, at least blame the media a year from now and please talk shit to the ground.
Can we split into like a medical state and a do whatever the fuck we want state, and we can just choose which side to live in? People can live in lockdown and we'll just be gross and get diseases as they come.
I'm fine with it.
Because I know what side I'd pick.
Me too. No, but can we get a year from now when we put all the consequences and we see how many people die from COVID virus, and then we actually get the numbers from people dying from cancer we could have saved, suicide, health issues, depression, anxiety. When we start to get that one, and then we go like, look, we harmed those people. To save 10,000 here, we harmed 1 million. Let's say that's the rate, right? 1 to 100, and at least it's going to be that. Then what? Yeah. Who do we get to put? Like, someone has to pay for this.
The hatchet should come down to the media first.
I think so. Totally.
Opinion.
But I want this to be a light on what the media does and how incompetent the political world has become. Yeah. And by the way, when I say them, I say us. Because, again, George Orwell in 1984 gave us too much credit as to what people would do under... Like, you know that London has that fucking app track now? Yeah. Like, they talk, and everybody's like, yeah, let's do that.
Totally.
It's like, are you all fucking insane? Do you think they're going to give up on it when they start?
Well, it's like, did we not learn anything with what, like, the NSA has done in the United States
after 9/11?
Well, like, we're literally every single thing
we're
that happens
asking
on the
for
internet, they're having to sneak in to do.
Yeah, now we're asking for it.
Please do it.
Yeah, 9/11 wasn't bad enough. Now we're saying, please do it. We're asking for it. That's insane.
And there's another side to it where I know where, like, the real crooked shit lies. Is right now there's all the, what are we going to do with the money? How are we going to pay for this? We have all this stuff, right? What's the big problem? And nobody has raised their hand amidst any of this and said, hey, remember, like, all those wars we've been doing for the last 20 years, maybe we should rethink what we do that. If we have infrastructure problems, supply chain, all those things, just maybe this fucking bazillion dollars a year we're spending on wars in fucking countries that we have no business in, truthfully. Like, why is that not even a part of this discussion? The fact that that's not even a part of this discussion, that we have people, smart people, courageous people who are in other countries that could be doing things good here for us. Let the fucking army pay them, but come back. Like, let's do some real fucking shit. Why is there
50,000 US soldiers in Germany?
Yeah, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
You know that the Syrian war has killed, in Syria alone, has killed 3 times more people than COVID-19?
Yeah, and if you ever will look into what has happened in Yemen since like 2012, like, it'll make you embarrassed to the fact that people aren't talking about that we're literally wasting resources to starve children in a foreign country. Yep. For a dictator, by the way, and have been doing it for a long time. And I'm not making this up. This is a conspiracy.
That's easy.
This is just not talked about because it's not fucking sexy, and the people who are doing it, like, are making a lot of money.
It's the sexiness of it that I think enraged me the most. Yeah. The media, it's an infodemic. Yeah. We have to stop with pandemic. It's not. Yeah. Like, can we say it now that it's not? We might get demonetized on this.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna package this first segment into a single Our COVID Rant video, and we'll just put that up.
Yeah, exactly. And then we start. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. But that way, if we get demonetized, we get demonetized. But can we stop saying it's a pandemic? Because it's not. Yeah. I'm sorry, it is not. It is not a pandemic. No, but even like the WHO has to, like, if the second wave doesn't go berserk, then it's not a pandemic. Like, this has to stop. Yeah. And it's an epidemic.
And I worry that the same numbers games, the problem is the same types of number games you saw to lead the story in the beginning. I think you're going to see some of the same tools used, bad, weird data, to lead the second wave scare. But I don't know. Here's the interesting thing is I saw this in the beginning, not what the whole thing would be. I never could have imagined. But I said this at maybe the first time we talked about it, or even you and I personally. I said the one thing I know about this is it shows me that the state of information in the world is fucked. Yeah. Because I am literally watching groups of people watch the same thing, read the same data, if you will.
No, they don't.
Well, not really. But like really, really just look at things and see the exact opposite thing happening and come to totally opposite conclusions.
Like, for everything else. What kills me is that this is the debate, again, left versus right. When it comes to a virus, I don't think the virus cares if you're a Republican or Democrat. Yeah. But what kills me overall, let's split that video. That way we can go as far as we want.
Exactly.
What kills me is, for example, we talk about Italy being ravaged by the COVID-19. I looked yesterday at the numbers. Over 90%, 95%, whatever, were people over the age of 70.
Yeah.
Right. So most of it was 80 plus. The average life expectancy in Italy is 83.
Yeah.
Like in most, if you look at worldwide, it's under 80.
Yeah.
That means that the average death of COVID-19 is higher, is past the average death age.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
When you start to look at this, you go like, wait, what?
Yeah. And I have elderly grandparents, and that would be sad.
And I want them...
But statistically speaking, there's a scraping off the top.
No, but that means that if you did not die of COVID-19, you would die of something else around the same
For
time.
sure. Yeah. And that's the thing that the guy from Sweden had kind of said is, is that there's X amount of people that are going to die in any 6-month span, if you will, from age, disease, whatever it is, time's coming. And when advanced age is a factor. And they said this is just grabbing a hold of some of them a bit sooner.
Right. So should we protect them?
Sure.
Of course.
Absolutely.
That's the point. Let's protect older people. Did we fail at that? In Sweden, they did. Yeah. Because of homes.
Yeah.
Elderly homes. That was not done well, and they said it. And so most of the death in, for example, Sweden has been in homes. Yeah. Half. More than half have been in homes. In the US, it seems to be a little bit the same thing. The UK has the same problem. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of elderly people in homes that are dying because... So did we fail that? Yes, we failed the older population in that sense. But that's what we should be focusing on. Obesity is a huge comorbidity, and so is age. Yeah. All right, so we do that. But we don't do that weird freak out stuff that everybody is doing because the media is pushing buttons. And now the media is pushing left versus right on the virus. Yeah. Like reopening states. How the fuck are people going to eat if you don't reopen? Like
something. I don't know. What are they going to do?
Like all those fucking stars in Hollywood. You live in a mansion. You will never be broke again.
I think the tone deaf nature of their fucking involvement too. Wore out after about a month.
And I'm a liberal, and I'm getting pissed.
But you notice its shit went away. In the end, like, I don't need to see fucking Ellen and Tom Hanks and Idris Elba and all these fucking people telling me I need to stay in my house and how tough they've got it and all that stuff. Like it's a weird message to be getting.
Of course I can stay in my house. I have a four-story house with a dependence outside. I got my PlayStation room, basically, podcast. I got my office. I got my own room. Of course I can stay in my house. Yeah. We make enough money on, thank God for the sandbags right now, to stay afloat. We still do a lot of online work. I can say it because it's easy for us. Like our life hasn't changed that much. But for people, like if that shit had happened 10 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Like when I had my gym in Torrance. Yeah. I would not be able to feed my daughter, and I would be like, fuck you, I'm training people. Mm-hmm. Or if you don't let me train people, okay, then let me rob a bank. Yeah. Because how am I going to feed my daughter? This is insane. It's like, this shit has to stop.
Well, and what I think is, and what you're going to find is things that are far worse than the virus, is you're going to find what real desperate people look like.
Can we look at suicide rate already? Please, like
crime. Well, here's what crime. I don't think people understand what living in America, what the society is like when people get fucking hungry. Or on the verge of being homeless and have families.
We had the French Revolution, 2 winters in a row. That's how that shit works. Yeah, it doesn't take that much. Yeah. Get people hungry. By the way, addiction rates.
Skyrocket.
Alcoholism. Yeah. People drinking. That shit went up. Like, can we look at not you? Yeah. Can we look at fragile people, addicts, drugs to alcohol, rates of depression, anxiety, suicide. I mean, people starving, the health issue that is going to come from starving. Like, can we look at those? Can you look past yourself for a fucking second?
Yeah. I've also seen a lot of the real put a mask on, quit bitching, those type of people. Right. Then, but what I'm seeing now is as time goes on, they kind of show their faces. You'll start seeing things where they'll post I've always been kind of a loner, and I think I'll probably end up living they always want an excuse to stay in the fucking house and stay away from fucking people. So do that.
Right. Do you know that this is... I'm starting to wonder if that the left versus right is almost not that. Because there's my conspiracy theory on this one. What I've noticed is there's a big percentage. We'll just stop and reset.
No, I'm making sure.
Yeah, there's a big percentage of people like right now, and that's a lot of them are on. Most of them, if not all of them, are on the left, that are using this as a justification to quit. Mm-hmm. To go like, I don't like stress. I want to, like, we had a coach who just said like, yeah, I don't want to train.
Yeah.
Like, it's good. It's giving me rest and everything. And to me, that's like that lady, that post I was saying, where she was like, well, you know, like I started this, but I got stressed and then I prefer to stop. Yeah, it's called quitting, right? And there's an entire part that seems to be, that keeps saying there's going to be a new normal, or like we're going to be like this for the next 10 years, or maybe that's the world the way it is. Like, is that what you want? Because the way they're talking about it, it's almost like they're wishing for it to, like it's giving them a justification to be stressed and therefore to quit. Yeah. Because they always stress.
Which is where they're always headed anyways.
They're always stressed.
Yeah.
But they always stress. Why? For anxiety. Like we're going to make the next podcast about this. Anxiety and stuff like that. But that is giving them almost an excuse to quit. To say like, oh, it's not me. It's the world that's like that. It's like, no, it's you. And so like what the media is doing is it's feeding that it's not you, it's the world. It's horrible. Let's just quit. Yeah. Let's just quit. Let's do social distancing forever now, the new normal. The kids have to stay inside. It's like, is that the world you want to live in? It's like, do you understand what you're saying? Yeah. But that's something I've seen out of the liberal crowd in the US, for example, where they always pick battles to lose now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Most of the battles...
You have to maintain your victimhood in order to keep your
stance. Exactly. Right. Because if you win, you become the power structure you've been denigrating the whole time.
Well, and that's what you're seeing gradually as wins are collected via some of that method, is you see just this weird authoritarian tyranny coming out of the left. You're like, wait, what? All of a sudden, I can't talk
but
a certain way because...
If you look at hierarchy, you have the left versus the right. The right wants the tyranny of the quality, like the top people, which leads you to what? Leads you to Nazis, eugenics, leads you to that. But the left wants the tyranny of the quantity, right? So we got, like, that's communism. Like the group rules the individual. So if you look, it's a quantity versus quality battle. The problem is both sides on the extremes want tyranny of that. Yeah. And right now what the left is pushing, if you look, is tyranny of the quantity. It's like, well, those numbers, we're going to save those people. Therefore, we all have to go into a quantity game base where it's so if I win the election, I get to tell everybody how to live. Yeah. Well, normally it's supposed to be some kind of a compromise. It's like, no. The majority, the quantity wins, then all of you not even have to live like that, have to think like us.
Well, democracy is, by its definition, the tyranny of the majority. That's how it works. You're agreeing, and that's a problem that I've always had with it. It's less right than just a system that you're like, we're just agreeing to follow this rule. Most people, that's it. But it does not work for everybody. Not at all.
No, but plus,
what I've been finding, though, is interesting. We talked about this with like engineering cities, with the bikes thing, right? And infrastructure, is you have to get into it saying, we want, like in that case, I want my city to be good for people, which means accessible for people and bikes. The more I make it for cars and all these other things, I create other shit I don't want. And we're trying to engineer a society that is both safe and whatever, but the balance between that safety and the risk has to coincide with it being a world and a society and a life that is worth fucking living. Because just like in a city, sure, we've solved all this problem where we get more cars in the city, and then what? The quality of life sucks. We need more cars, and it skids the fuck away. And it becomes not the thing you wanted it to be. And I think for this thing here, we really have to look at if for the next 2 months having to wear a mask at a restaurant and sit 2 spaces away from everybody, if that's what it takes to keep things rolling for a couple months, maybe. Okay. If my new normal consists of that type of shit, fuck all that. I'll move somewhere where it's not that way. Yeah. Like, there's just no way.
By the way,
I will not play that game for the rest of my life.
Sweden is not worse off.
No.
Like, this, that comes back down to my point from the beginning. It's like, since we don't know, let's look around. Yeah. But Sweden was a good experiment, and guess what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Guess what? Not that much more. Yeah. Like, because now that they're all reopening, the second wave is gonna hit. Of course, it's gonna hit. You kept people from getting the virus. The virus gets contagious. He's gonna get it. So now we have to wait for the vaccine. That takes a year. Mutation. You want to do that every year? It's insane talk.
Yeah. Well, and then now there's the big push for like getting 300 million vaccines out by January. Military is being mobilized in the U.S. to distribute a vaccine that doesn't exist yet. And I'm like, this is good science. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but you're telling me rushing this vaccine out, not knowing what that's going to be, if you're going to have to redo it again next year, just like you have to do the flu. By the way, is it going to be less effective than the flu vaccine? Because that's the problem too.
That's not that effective.
And all of this stuff now turns into this fucking weird, never-ending clusterfuck of some shit I don't want to participate in.
Now we're talking about forced vaccination.
Yeah.
So now we're going down another rabbit hole. Because flu vaccination, you get criticized, but you're not forced. Now that means that I'm forced, if I want to go outside, I'm forced to get injected with something. Mm-hmm. And you want the government in charge of that. Like, this is 1980, this is dystopia.
Yeah.
Like, and you all, half the people are asking for dystopia now. Mm-hmm. Like,
I also think the half that aren't. A lot of the people that are really like, let us out, let's do our thing, a lot of them are in it for the wrong reasons too.
But
you know what I mean? I just think that the end result, they're probably right.
What if this is the fall of the Roman Empire?
Yeah,
you know, like, it comes from inside always.
Yeah.
There's a self-destructive thing that happens.
It's that systematic problem. It's misaligned. It's the poorly aligned tire, the rattling of the fucking wheel.
Yeah, but what if all systems have a self-destruct button eventually?
They have to.
They have to, right? So what if this is where we are with the Western world? My point is, there's a postmodernist, and I will apologize to the world since the French created that. 1950s, 1960s, postmodernism comes from France. Mm-hmm. And I will apologize for my culture for this one. One of the greatest evil that touched the world was postmodernism. There's a postmodernist I'm listening to yesterday who is saying that competition is evil. That the only competition that exists should be with yourself. And he goes on like that for 10 minutes, contradicting himself the entire time. Mm-hmm. But he goes into like, for example, you look at natural selection, no one wins.
Yeah.
I was like, no one wins. No, if you die and I live, I win, first of all. And he says like, we should not compete against anybody or against ourselves because competition is despising the other one. And I'm like, what? And by the way,
this guy doesn't win. This guy never played.
Exactly.
He's never played sports.
He's never seen anything. Yeah, exactly. But by the way, if competition is despising the other one, and you said the only competition we should have is with ourselves, that means we're going to despise ourselves.
No.
Right. And he says Einstein never competed. I'm like, then you don't know history because he fought for the Nobel Prize real hard. Why did you think he had the whole formula for Mercury's ellipse around the sun? Because another dude, a German mathematician, was saying he was going to get it first. He was very competitive.
There wasn't just competitive. There was something bordering on. You see it a lot often, in that he's bordering on pettiness. Even sometimes you read that level of competition from Einstein, where it was like
within the academic
world, where it's not to say that he was just doing his thing.
But so he had, that's the postmodernists. They have that fascination with communism. Mm-hmm. But you can tell like no competition, no thing. And I'm looking at his face and everything, going like the guy is all look like he's gonna cry all the time and everything. I was like, dude, like that's first of all you're contradicting yourself every 3 seconds. But this is. And what he's saying is like, the only violence that is acceptable is against violence itself. I'm like, so it is acceptable to be violent. Yeah. You're deciding where.
Yeah.
All right. So, but what he's talking about is so postmodernism is an autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
It's the system attacking itself. Mm-hmm. Right. So maybe it's a self-destruct button.
Yeah.
Maybe we have hit, because all empires fall.
Yes.
Maybe the Western Empire is falling and this shit is a self-destruct button that we're doing this to ourselves.
And I think I agree with you fully. All empires have to fall. I think in all systems at some point are going to kind of spin out of control in one way or another and once it gets large enough, the probability is just almost inevitable. Yeah. There is one thing that I've seen where in system-based stuff where things can sit, but you have to give up on infinite growth. That's the issue. Do you know, if I start a company and my company produces for me that I take home $150,000 a year, I make that, my employees make good livings, sit there,
stay there.
That's it. Can I do that? Can that be enough? Can I just make the experience better and things grow as they do? Yes, but once you start hunting growth like you do in any business, all those things, you inevitably will spread yourself to the point. It's impossible. Yeah, and collapse. If you look at what happens with publicly traded companies, it's not just profits. matter, because if profits,
some do.
If projected profits are the same as your profits were this year, even though your shareholders
you go down.
the same amount, you will go down.
Yep.
You will eat shit. Yep. You have to have growth every fucking quarter.
You have to beat the prediction.
Has to also exceed what the predicted growth would be.
Yes, that's the key. Is they have to produce more than the expectation,
and that is completely untenable forever. Yeah. So you will always end up there, always. And that's what happens with those things. They have these big bankruptcy, restructures, mergers. Yeah. That's what that is that's a system completely falling apart.
And I'm wondering if the Western Empire has hit the self-destruct stuff. The way half of the population is acting, it's telling me that we are witnessing the fall of the Western Empire. Mm-hmm. Because it's turning against itself now.
Yeah.
People are saying, don't work. Let's stay 1 or 2 years at home. Let's crash the economy. If you look, that's what we're saying. Let's kill ourselves, because then you can't eat. Like, even though we know, like as I said, people will die from cancer. And we're saying, let's do that for another 2 years. Let's put all small businesses, restaurants, bars, gyms, let's put them out of business. Let's keep going for 2 years because virus. It's you have basically latched on to any excuse you could find to crash the system. Yeah. That's, to me, the self-destructive behavior. Yeah.
Well, the issue is always in who's deciding these things too. So there is always a line, right? There's always a line where if the virus is bad enough or urgent enough that we should lock everybody up right now. There is that sits somewhere. Mm-hmm. My issue is, do you have smart enough people with good enough information, with some sort of fucking like direction ethically, if you will,
and the media
or
doesn't.
A purpose to who's out here making the decisions of where that.
But you know who is? The media is. Yeah. Like let me, for example, proof. The post that I did when I say, I'm training into a gym. Yeah. No, you don't get to message the owner. Why did I do that? Because I posted the farmer's walk video, and the gym owner got messages saying, how come he's training at your place and everything. I put a post. We get like 1,100 likes on it, mm-hmm. which is the most we got for a post for a long time. And every single comment, all 50 of them were like, right on.
Yeah.
So, and I got private messages out of it. Everybody's on my side of it. And we say, then all unfollow us if we get unfollowed by 50 people. So maybe but we got 1,000 likes. Yeah. So it looks to me that most people are on our side on this. And again, like the people that are doing this seems to be the loudest, but it's a loud minority. So who's feeding that? The media we have an infodemic, not a pandemic. Yeah. Like I still, maybe it's my hopeful nature. I think that they still, when I say half, I believe that it's less than that. There is a part that are using that as an excuse to quit, mm-hmm. but that the actual activists into let's crash and everything is actually much smaller than we understand, because they are very loud and they're mostly the media. Yeah. Where most people are like, fuck it, let's go back to work. I think most people are reasonable on that action, but the media is again crashing the system. Yeah. Again.
I think that's where my opinion, that's where you set up your guillotines first.
It's the media.
Then sort out your leadership next.
Yeah, that's
true. By the way, you can just, if you want to have some fun, don't re-elect anybody. All of you vote for somebody else I don't care. Yeah. Just don't re-elect fucking anybody for the next 10 years. Start there.
Let's dodge the media first.
Yeah, in my opinion, and you can do that many number of ways that I don't have to
Spotify is how we're going to start with Spotify. No, but seriously, if we do, this is how we vote.
I'm not even joking, I've had to go through to find without having to go through 5-6 pages of literally just mainstream media repetitive titles that are made to oversaturate a narrative. I have to basically not use Google anymore. I have to go to DuckDuckGo, which is truly like search based and not based on these weird fucking Google control algorithms. And you see the difference in what comes up when you're simply searching for a subject and keywords. It's way different.
On Safari, what saves me is that it's so used to me looking at studies that whenever I put something, it sends me to a study. Yeah. And so that's saving me. Yeah. Because then I don't have to go, because I don't watch, I think the only stuff that I read is on BBC.
Yeah. Well, I have a hard time. It's really tough to get the inside scoop on the fact that like Jim Morrison from The Doors, his dad was actually the guy that facilitated the Gulf of Tonkin incident and got us into the Vietnam War by the way.
Jim Morrison's dad. I know.
Yeah,
I didn't
his dad, his father. That's not a conspiracy, by the way. That sits on the surface. And so, but finding that takes a little bit of work.
No shit. Yes. Yeah.
You know, but
that's interesting.
Yeah. So there's a lot to be had there. That was our COVID rant. We'll get into the fitness stuff. We'll pack it. We'll do the fitness one separately.
Yep. This one will be cut.
So YouTube doesn't.
3, 2, 1. Hi guys.